Some people made some rather strange comments on one of my previous videos talking about knives and knife law, as in which knives are legal to carry around and which knives are not. Specifically, they said, why am I promoting knives? Now, I've never said anything of the sort. Actually, I said don't carry things unnecessarily. But people do want to know what they are legally allowed to carry or what they are not legally allowed to carry. And so, since this is the law, and it is publicly available for everybody to see, there are no secrets when it comes to law. Law is freely available, readily accessible, and everybody can read it. And since I have this platform here to tell people what the law is, whilst it's not giving legal advice because it's not on your specific circumstances, I can comment on certain things when I think they are legal or not. For example, if one were to carry around this Dewalt knife, which has a very small blade, albeit it is a lock blade, because once it's out, it won't go back inside without the press of this release button. Then it goes back inside the sheath. But this is a lock knife. However small the blade is, it is obviously a very small blade, but once it's in the out position, it will not fold back in. It is not a foldable blade. Therefore, unless you have a good reason to be carrying this with you, such as you are on the way to work or on the way back from work, it wouldn't, for example, be a good enough reason to have this in your side pocket whilst you're out at the pub after work, because it's a lock knife and you cannot carry that with you. That would be restricted under Section 139 of the Criminal Justice Act 1988. However, people have asked about other knives, such as this one here, and what other knives they might be allowed to carry, save for restricted areas which should be obvious, such as schools and court buildings and other obvious places. But otherwise, this knife here is a folding pocket knife for the purposes of Section 139. In other words, it is exempt from the usual law of the prohibition on carrying a pointed or bladed article. That is because this has a foldable mechanism which, whilst it will open up into a knife position like this, it will also fold down without any kind of button or lever. It is immediately foldable at all times. That means because the blade is not longer than 3 inches and it does not lock, it comes within the exemption of a folding pocket knife in Section 139 of the Criminal Justice Act 1988. However, that doesn't mean you can carry this around for any kind of harmful purposes, even including self-defense, because if you were to carry around such a knife for the purposes of self-defense, this makes it an offensive weapon. So I hope that it's obvious that I'm not promoting carrying this around for self-defense, because I'm not, because that would make it an offensive weapon, that would make it illegal, and that would probably scupper any kind of argument that you might have for self-defense because you're carrying an offensive weapon. Equally, if you're carrying around a tool like this is not a sponsored video in any shape or form, but this is a Bar Vivo corkscrew, which, whilst it does have a corkscrew on it, and I'll come back to that in a moment, but it does have also this small knife here, which is clearly for cutting wrappers and things like that. But again, it does not exceed 3 inches, it does not lock, and it's immediately foldable at all times. The corkscrew, however, this is one of those things that would ultimately end up being tested in court if you were caught with this and there was the implication that you're carrying it around for the purposes of causing harm with it. Because this, for me, has the danger that it could be held in a dangerous position, because obviously you hold a corkscrew in this position, which conveniently makes this a pointed spike coming out of here. So would I recommend carrying this around with you without a good reason, such as you're going to a party or you're at work or something? No, I probably wouldn't. However, strictly speaking, a court on examination would probably say that this is just a tool. It is not something that the Act was intending to restrict at the outset. This little doozy, however, is a tiny little thing. Again, the link will be in the description. This is not a sponsored video. I bought both of these, actually all of these, with my own funds. Now, this is a Gerber Multitool, which has lots of different tools on it, considering the size of it. Not to mention a very strong clip here to attach it to your belt. But it's got a very nifty pair of scissors on here, like this. It opens out into a pair of pliers, which is quite good. But also, and this is the bit that most people would be questioning, it also has this blade that comes out here. Now there are many different uses for having a blade with you: cutting parcels, cutting ropes, safety features, all that kind of thing. It isn't just about going out to harm somebody. As the saying goes, it's people that harm people, not knives. However, the law is there to restrict the carrying of certain types of knives so that it is much more difficult for those that are going to go out and harm people with a knife to carry such a thing around, or rather it is to allow for prosecutions of those people that are carrying a knife around without good reason. So am I promoting the carrying of knives? No, of course not. What I am doing is informing you of what the law says and what I think about certain items. This particular one was advertised as being UK legal. Again, I will put the link to this in the description, and in my view this does come within the exception of a folding pocket knife for the purposes of the Act. You can even open it one-handed thanks to this, I think it's patented, this little hole here for the thumb. You can open it like this. You cannot close it like that, but you can close it one-handed. A lot of people think this is dangerous because it folds. I've experimented and I don't think it is, because even if it were to collapse in like this, it won't go any further than this finger here. So I would have to move my fingers out of the way for it to close down fully. But it doesn't lock, and in my view, this is a folding pocket knife for the purposes of the Act. So I hope that's of some clarification and of some interest. And as I say, I'll put the links to these in the description below. They are affiliate links, full disclosure, but hey, you make up your own choice as to what you want to buy. You don't have to buy these. You can buy anything you like. And in the meantime, please make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching.